Hello, everyone, and welcome to Women's Network Australia's Wisdom Well session. Pleased and delighted to welcome Joanne Brooks, the Circle Builder, who'll be leading today's session. We're going to talk a little about resilience, which I think is something at this time of the year when we're feeling like we've been working hard for such a long time this year, but there's still a lot to do before we get to the end and we start thinking about next year and the year ahead and where we go from here. It can be a real test for our stamina and our personal health and our mental health. So I'm delighted to have Joanne here to talk about how we can help some of the tips and tricks and how that fits in with both your personal and business planning. So welcome, Joanne. Thank you
Thank
once again.
you. Yeah, oh, my pleasure. Always fun to do these with for Women's Network Australia. Yeah, let's dive in. I'm going to go and share my screen, making sure I've got the right screen. There it is. And if you can just confirm for me that you can see what you need. Great, thanks. I'm seeing a bunch of nods.
Fantastic. Yep.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So yeah, as Cheryl has said, we're talking about resilience blueprint, the roadmap to overcoming adversity. Now, we are all really good, I feel, at claiming that we have resilience and there's grit, and we all, I feel, as women in business, we have this narrative of I've got to show up as all that's well, right? And we can be a bit like the duck where all the little legs are going a gazillion miles an hour. But we have this lovely facade, barrier, whatever you would like to call it, that we feel has to be shown to our audience that things aren't quite so well as they are. Uh, so I want to talk about how do we manage this, because you know operating in that frame of mind and that framework, that can be jolly exhausting, and I'm sure Cheryl and Becky could appreciate that. We've all been there, right? We've all been there. So my question is, what if adversity is actually your invitation to lead, not despite the storm, but through it? Because we've all been through it. Like I was given the lovely opportunity to share my story yesterday on a live, and we were talking about trauma. And the lady that I was speaking to was a lady who specializes in this. And she said, it's surprising how many people have at least had one traumatic event in their life, but invariably there's a second and they don't talk about it because, it's the second time, my Lord, why would I want to talk it? Who would want to listen to it? All those sort of things. And so we start creating these barriers and these facades where we don't talk about it and we don't take action to resolve it. So I want to be direct here. So what is my experience of resilience? Well, 25 years as an entrepreneur, that will bring a requirement of resilience in itself, right? For me, it's lived, it's real. I've been there and I have done that. I've had many businesses. I've had liquidated businesses. I've had trademark stuff, challenges with staff, challenges with systems. Nothing that's unique to anybody else in business, I feel. It's not a new thing, but it is something that it did create for me a level of this barrier. I won't call it lovely, this barrier that I didn't talk about, I didn't share, and felt that I needed to show up and look like everything's honky-dory, right? But there are times that we need to get ourselves in a circle of trusted people that we can actually let our guard down. It is incredibly important that we give ourselves permission to do that, because a high functioning person who's in that level of stress and even somewhat incapacity is something that will chip away at you, right? It's not something that you can withstand for a long time. So why is this conversation important today? Because I think it's a conversation that if we haven't had it already, it's time to have it now, because there's so much turmoil in the world. There's challenges in business. People could say there's a recession coming. Who knows? I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But for me, it's about leadership. It's about stepping into it. It's about creating tools that you can use to be the authentic, resilient business leader and deal with the stuff that's all sitting under in the iceberg type framework, right? Because resilience isn't a nice to have anymore. It's actually essential, because if we're in business, change is a constant, challenge is a constant, all those things come. So we need good tools to help us navigate that and work our way through it in a healthy way, not in an unhealthy way. So I'm going to share with you a few ideas, but let's talk about some statistics for start off. 78% of women support from other women is a success factor. It's no longer optional. Resilience, it's essential. And for me, I'm a circle builder. It's a new narrative for me. You've all heard this because circle is something that we all can connect with. It's millennia old, but it also is a place that feels nice and comfortable and supportive. We might have used community, we use network, we use all those. But for me, circle is a place to reset, refuel, and rise together. So this is about helping you to create some tools to help you build that resilience and maybe start creating a circle that you can then step out of that everything's fine narrative to going, actually, life's not too good today. Or I can see that you're not doing so well. How can I help and support you? So this is for you. If you've hit a setback, big or small, doesn't matter. You want tools, you're tired of bouncing, and you want to lead from a place of grounded strength. I do also want to share, it's not for you if it's one size fits all, because everything that we need is unique to us, right? We all have different businesses, different sizes, different experiences. If you believe adversity should be ignored or minimized, and you're unwilling to examine old stories, I don't feel that's the audience that are in Women's Network Australia, but it is important to point it, to poke the bear, to say, if this is where you are, I would love to talk to you. But this is not necessarily something that you're ready for, maybe. Maybe it's just that you're not ready for it. But the good news is if it resonates, yay, you're in the right place. So happy days. So let's talk about why is this conversation? Because every week I meet amazing women who do what they do, but they feel invisible to the very people who need them most. Because it's time to stop waiting for permission to own your voice and to stand up and speak out. And I feel, I really do feel authentic resilience is the new leadership currency. And this is not about pushing harder, because by golly, we push hard, all of us. We work hard, we get up early, we're multitasking, whether you believe in that or not. We're doing a gazillion things, kids, family, commitments, carers for people. But it is about shifting smarter. So I'm just going to jump into the 3-part resilience blueprint for you. So number 1, rooted clarity. You need to anchor before you action. So I'm going to give you just a little bit of an exercise to follow. And I know for those in the recording, please, I do encourage you to, even if you stop the recording, and consider these pieces. But I know Becca's got a worksheet that I've created that we can share with you. And I am going to share at the end of this recording an opportunity that you might want to hang in for, that might help you to get further with this exercise. So rooted clarity, anchor it before action. So what is it? Understand your values, goals, and boundaries. Now, we've spoken about this a few times in previous Wisdom Wells. So if you haven't spotted that particular recording, please go back and find it. They're all available on WNA's website. But to know what your values and goals and boundaries are. And I feel there's a lot of people in business at the moment who may have some values, have some goals, don't necessarily write them down, or do they wrote them down, but they're now sitting in a digital cupboard gathering a few cobwebs. But one thing I know a lot of people haven't done in business is to set boundaries. Boundaries that help you to hold people accountable, that you can share when you're going to go into a collaboration with somebody, you're going to work with a client. What are the boundaries of the activity we're going to do going forward? You need some reflection tools, using simple tools to manage your emotions. Meditation, breathing, those sort of things is really important to me. A grounding practice. Engage in a practice that helps you to stay present and grounded. So one of the things that I might suggest for you is to choose 3 words that will call you back to who you are. It could be calm, clarity, clear, steady, brave, kind, focused. What are words that resonate with you that help you to go, oh yeah, right. Breathe, come back to those 3 words, stick them up on the wall, make them your background on your computer, whatever it is that you need, but they will align to your values, your goals, your purpose, why you do this thing. I know Women's Network Australia have 3 key pillars. It could be those, right? It could be a version of those. But have for you 3 words that resonate with you, that help you to connect back to self. And and accept the practice, be willing for the practice to take a breath and stop. Because I think one of the biggest things about when we are in a state of stress or overwhelm is that we don't go, oh, there's that thing again. There's that overwhelm going on. There's that stress thing going on in my brain. Right. I need to take a moment, whether it's to step away from your computer and walk away. For me, it's to go outside and stick my feet on the grass. That just is really nice. If I was closer to the beach, I'd be standing with my feet on the beach. I am much closer than I was before, but it'll be the grass. But it's also breathing and what are those words that help you to refocus and reframe yourself.
Joanne,
So,
what are some of the physical signs that we need to take that break? Um,
mm,
Often
yeah,
we ignore those signs. Can you just think of
yes,
or
we
list
do.
some of those common physical signs that our body is
Yeah.
telling us we need to take a break?
Mm. I guess for me, I can only share what I experience, and maybe you can share yours as well once we've done that. But for me, I get a little bit sweaty. The hands start getting a bit sweaty. I I can't focus. I get very much upset in the tummy. My body really reacts. And I've learned that, oh, there's that thing again. Right. And just recognizing and being aware of what your physical body's doing, because it does, Cheryl, you're right. These sort of situations where an overwhelm and stretch and all that and stress and all those sort of things do physically affect our body, but everybody's going to be different, right? You might feel a bit faint, you might feel nauseous. You might find that you just are doing 16 things at once and you're going, why didn't I get anything done? Oh, there's that thing maybe sitting in my head that's really distracting me and not helping me to get things done. And for some people, it might be a headache. It could be any number of those things, and we're all going to be very, very, very different, right? So if we haven't done the values, oh, well, let's go back. Cheryl, is there something that happens in your body?
Yes, I think it's a combination of what happens physically, but also mentally. When
Mm,
I'm having that feeling and it's particularly about, overwhelm or something deeper that you're just trying to work through. Often the normal clarity that you come with in terms of these are the things that I've got to do and why they're
yeah,
important becomes
yeah,
mixed up.
yeah.
So you end up working as hard or harder but not really getting anywhere because it's not the clarity around I'm doing this for this purpose becomes
Mhm.
jumbled
Yes.
because you just need to take that break. And I agree with you, definitely there's physical
Mm,
symptoms as well, a sense of a funny feeling in your tummy or
yeah.
or even your diaphragm. And I also notice even things like just breathing becomes shallower,
Yes.
because you're
Yes.
just on the surface. You don't want to go too deep. And the
Mhm.
physical ramification for me of doing that is I just breathe really shallow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we all can maybe just as well as being clear about what those values are, is also be conscious of what our physical signs and
Doing.
symptoms are that we need to
Exactly.
just hold on and take a break.
And I think one thing just popped in my head as you were speaking as well. What I notice is sometimes your decision-making capability, it stalls, right? Why can't I make a decision about this thing? You could be going, if you recognize and go, oh, maybe I actually need to take a break and step away from it. It's like a problem on your computer. Why is this thing not working? Just want to pick it up and throw it out the door. Actually, it's me. I need to actually leave my computer and let it do its thing. I'll come back to it and
Or
revisit it.
do what we do with our computer, which is we turn it off, shut it down, reset it, and come back
Correct.
to it. And using that same mentality around just our physical self
Myself.
can be really
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. So I thought I'd just tap in again because I mentioned before on that little flowchart values and goals and things like that and boundaries. So maybe a little exercise for those people who've not done it yet. Clarify your values. And so choose 3 top values and keep them visible wherever you put them. But when I say visible, I don't mean just stick it on the wall so nobody can see them. Why about you write a post? I've just recrafted my values and this is why I do what I do. Put it on your website, share it with people, But I would encourage you that if you create 3 words, like it could be integrity, peace, connection, growth, simplicity, honest, truth, any number of those. But I do encourage you, which we covered in one of the other Wisdom Well events, is that then create a statement that's a doing word suggesting what that looks like, right? Because a single word of values are great, but a doing word helps your audience and you to reflect, oh, am I actually acting within the values that I've created within my business? So that's a good little tip that I shared previously. Maybe you need to realign your goals. Maybe they need to shift during adversity. Maybe what you're aiming for needs a bit of adjustment. And guess what? Goals do shift and change. They do, and it's okay. And the power is on that intentional redirection of what those goals look like. So set resilience goals that stretch you just a little bit, but will also support you, but don't terrify you so that you can't sleep at night, right? So maybe have a little look at what your goals, where they're sitting. And again, share your goals. Tell your team, tell your audience, this is where I'm aiming for this business to be. This is what I want, what my business, I want the impact it to make. So make sure that you share them because again, goals just you keep to yourself and your values you keep to yourself. It's really hard to step away. It's really easy to step away from them. But when you share them, it's harder to step away from them. And so you need to really consider your goals and your values that they are at the right level for you. And as I mentioned, reinforce your boundaries. They're not barriers, they're protection for what matters most. And that's you and your business and your customer journey and all those things. So, boundaries could be here, putting on people in your team and you sharing them the values of the business. And so if you share it with them at interview stage and onboarding and all those sort of things, and then something occurs in the business that's at odds to those values, you can pick them up and go, help me to understand how that behavior aligns with our values. Remember, we agreed to them when you first came on board. And that's not just staff, it could be suppliers, it could be customers, right? Like as a coach and a mentor, there's time frames, there's project deadlines and all those sort of things. Set the boundaries of what that looks like, and then you can hold these people to account. But they can also hold you accountable, right? So it becomes a two-way street. So I thought I'd just revisit those 3 areas that I put on the chart. So secret 2, intentional recovery. So rest as a strategy. Please don't think of it as laziness. Micro recovery moments that build long-term stamina. Go and stand on the grass. Go take a breath. Turn off the computer. Reset it. Resilience rituals checklist. I'm going to cover that for you now. So what is it that gives you mental recovery? For me, some meditation, listening to some nice music, all those sort of things. What is it that works for you? Emotional regulation. How do you manage your feelings? Do you have a circle of people that you can pick up the phone and go, hey, I'm not feeling so good today? Can you just listen? Can you just help? And I know I often share the story about when my daughter worked for me. And so we would always start the conversation. Am I listening only? And do you want feedback? First question. Second feedback question. Am I doing that as a CEO and your boss or your mum? We framed it up and then we were able to manage that conversation because it's tricky working with your family members, right? It can be quite tricky. So again, set the boundaries, but also have the presence of mind to understand what it is that you need to manage your emotions and feelings. What is it that gives you physical grounding? For me, as I said, standing on the grass, particularly at the beach if I can. What are some quick routines for rejuvenation? So I've created in the document that Becca's going to share, there's a little bit more information in there. This is just an overarching concept for you to think about what you can do to start building that resilience, mental recovery. How do you manage your emotions? How do you ground yourself? How do you bring that level of stress and anxiety down? And what are the micro rest rituals that you can do? Like there was a few weeks ago that I literally was pretty much off the computer because we're moving house and doing all that sort of stuff. And there was a moment during that time that I felt a little bit guilty because I wasn't present for the business. But I actually then realized, I went, you know what, this has been really good for me because I've been focused on something personal and it's enabled me to step away from the business and think differently. And so little thought bubbles were popping in my head, write it down, go, oh, it'd be really great to do it this way when I'm back at the desk full time. So that rest that I took from the business was really powerful. And I know when I had a much larger company, every quarter we would book the leadership team would book away an entire 2 days, and we would leave the business. No, everybody knew they could, unless the place was burning down, and we would spend time on brainstorming and strategy and just reconnecting to why we were doing what we were doing. So do you give yourself permission to do those sort of things? Do you have a circle of people in your business, whether they're in your business or as members of Women's Network Australia? Have you thought of bringing together a circle of women that you can each do that together and to work and support one another in your business? It's a really important piece. And again, I think there's a lot of us who think, oh, if we take a break from our business, it's lazy, we don't deserve it. What if the business stops and falls over? Well, let me tell you, after 3 weeks of not being in there full time, it was still going and running, my business, when I popped back in again. The doors were still open. Everything was okay. It was fine. So give yourself permission to do that. So number 3, visible leadership, lead from the inside out. Now, we have spoken about this subject as well in previous Wisdom Wells about leadership and stepping up. And I remember when we were talking about that the other month, a lot of people perceive leadership to be those people we lead, our team, our suppliers, our clients. Well, how do you lead yourself? You have to lead. The only way you can build and grow an amazing business is to lead yourself first, inside from out. And let me tell you, it's not about perfection. I've got a mentor on LinkedIn, and she talks about that her perfection metric is 80% done. And I actually really like that, because we're all often chasing the 100%. Oh, it's not perfect yet. I can't launch it yet. My membership doesn't have all the elements in it yet, so I can't launch it, when actually you can. So, and how to communicate strength through authenticity. So there's a bit of a script here I thought I'd share with you. And again, it's in the workbook for you. So this is something that you might work on. It can potentially shift and change for you as the business and you evolve. But here's what I know to be true right now, and you put in your core truth or belief, and that could be connected to your values, right? I'm navigating whatever this thing that's happening in your business, and I'm choosing to. My focus is, and I'm here to. So here's an example that might help you a little bit. Here's what I know to be true right now. You don't have to feel fearless to lead. You just have to be willing to show up. I've been navigating self-doubt, fatigue, and the pressure to always appear just fine, but choosing to lead anyway with honesty, softness, and strength. My focus is on building something real, sustainable, and aligned, and I'm here to show up for my mission and my well-being. So it's just an example that you might want to play with. And it could come and go, and it could be something, again, don't keep it quiet, share it, put it in the Facebook group for Women's Network Australia. It would be amazing to see these sort of statements, right? To see how people are thinking about their business. How are they managing the day-to-day of their business and the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows? We all, change in business. I remember I had a staff member many years ago in the early stage of my entrepreneurship, and this lady decided to leave my business, and she said, there's so much change in this business, I can't stand the change. And I went, wow, that's super interesting. I had to own that because I clearly didn't manage that very well. But I said to her, you do realize we're a small business, and change is one of those things that's a constant. But we also as a leader, we need to manage that well. So there was a great lesson in that for me. How could I have done that better for you? How could I have managed that for you? And she was a young person. I thought, gosh, if anybody's used to change, isn't that young people today? But anyway, it was a very interesting thing that I was faced with. And that's one of the things of being a business leader and having a team of people. How are you managing this with them so that they feel supported in this as well? So that's pretty much all the spots I wanted to cover today, but I do want to just touch in on what's happening. Oh, next month is actually September, not August. My apologies. Creating inclusive workplaces. So whether you've got a team or not, the workplace could be the people you outsource to, right? They could be your staff. Or it could be, let's work towards putting a framework together for when you are ready to build a team in your business. So I'm excited for this one because I love talking about this topic. I do want to share Gold Coast Circle. Next month is, I think it's the 2nd or the 1st of September. please join me at Hope Island. It's a really lovely cafe overlooking all the beautiful boats at Hope Island. And this is my offer. So I'm going to make an offer that's different to everything else that I've done and other Wisdom Wells. I'm going to offer 3 private sessions. They're worth a good amount of money, but I want those who are watching this who would like to talk further about this, please do reach out to me and connect. And let's having a really good conversation so you've got some tools to take away for the end of the meeting. So I thank you for listening. I appreciate it. And I trust that it's resonated with you today. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Joanne. I love that. I love the 3 words. I was jotting the first 3 words that came to my head, and I'm going to reflect on those a little bit and work on my sentence and my framing. Even that, just giving ourselves a break to think about something like that rather than deliverables and to-do lists
Yeah.
and what's for dinner and all of those things that seem to occupy our minds throughout the day,
Right.
is a really great step forward in becoming resilient. And I think also the fact that we have to accept that the many of the missions, many of the things that we're trying to do as businesswomen, they take time. They're not going to
I do.
happen, overnight.
Yeah.
So it's another reason why we need to build resilience into our approach, because we have to keep with it, and we've got to
Yeah.
accept that it's not, as you said, it's not a straight path. There's ups and downs, there's challenges along the way, and the more we can do to help smooth those by having, as you say, the duck with the feet.
Yeah.
But certainly feeling that we've got some techniques along the road to rather
Yes.
than just keep swimming, to actually stop and rest, refresh, and move on. So
Beautiful.
fantastic tips. Thank you so
Thank
much
you. My
again,
pleasure.
for sharing your wisdom. We will be circulating this, and we will have it on our W&A website along with the worksheet. And we look forward to speaking with you again next month.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thanks, Beck.